doing a community challenge again from Tim Talks Talkies. This time we're doing the top 25 favorite movies from the 70s. I'll leave a link down in the description below if you haven't subscribed to his channel, as well as a link to his actual challenge video. If you want to participate, feel free to drop your list in my comment section down below. I can get it over to him, or you can go to his video and put your list there, or you can make your own video. So with that said, you don't need to have 25. You can do a top 15, you can do a top 10, a top 5, whatever you can do. I would be much appreciated for you to participate. The more people, the merrier. So without further ado, I'm going to get into it. I, for one, love the 70s, even though I wasn't around during this time. I have just gone back to so many different 70s movies, whether it's movies my parents really liked or just movies that were on that I could watch. I always have a fondness for the 1970s. So I do have a top 25 list. I also have a couple of honorable mentions that I'll get started with first. So my first honorable mention is going to be from 1979, and that is Mad Max, starring Mel Gibson. This is actually Mel Gibson's second film ever. So it's a very, very young Mel Gibson in this, but this has started and spawned a big successful franchise that we know today. There's a brand new movie coming out this year based on this world, but the original is one I think everyone should see. It's just super iconic for its gritty post-apocalyptic setting. I mean, it's just got some innovative practical effects in this. It's just got a really cool portrayal of navigating a lawless world, and you have this lone anti-hero in Mel Gibson kind of turning into that hero. So anyway, Mad Max definitely had to make the list. The next honorable mention is going to be The Last Waltz. Now, this is more of a concert than a movie, but they consider it a movie. This is directed by Martin Scorsese, and this shows the last performance ever by the classic rock group called The Band. It has just an incredible guest list of musicians that come on and play with them different songs, and it's just absolutely fantastic. I mean, some of the artists that you get in here, Neil Diamond, Neil Young, Bob Dylan, Ringo Starr, Eric Clapton, Muddy Waters, Van Morrison, Joni Mitchell, just to name a few. It's just a very historic moment in music history. And one I love going back to. If you got a sound system, this looks great in 4K as well, but The Last Waltz is one I highly recommend for anybody who likes classic rock or just rock in general. This is one you should see. Or if you're a Martin Scorsese fan. The last honorable mention is another movie I don't physically own. I used to have it on DVD. I'm not sure where it went. I hope it gets a 4K at some point. But, this one I haven't seen in a while, but this just had a lasting impression on me, especially as a kid when I saw it. This is from 1973, starring Charlton Heston and Edward G. Robinson, and that is Soylent Green. This is just a great film due to its compelling dystopian narrative. It's got very thought-provoking social commentary on overpopulation, but it's just a very crazy movie. I'll just keep saying crazy, but Charlton Heston's just got a captivating performance, and it's just got that line of Soylent Green is people! If you know, you know. But yeah, Soylent Green, definitely check it out. We're now actually on to my top 25 list, and coming in at 25 is a movie from 1976. It is a war movie. Let me tell you just up front, you're going to see a couple different war movies on my list if you know me. This is Midway, of course, depicting the Battle of the Midway, the turning point of World War II history. This happened, of course, in June 1942, shortly after the attack on Pearl Harbor. And this movie right here is loaded with a star-studded cast for the day. We got Charlton Heston, Henry Fonda, Robert Mitchum, Hal Holbrook, Robert Wagner, James Coburn, Glenn Ford, just to name a few. It's got some great aerial combat sequences, and it's just a very great portrayal of this decisive Battle of the Midway. The remake is okay, but I really do prefer this one. Next movie on my list is actually one I just recently saw for the first time, but it just had to make my list, and that, of course, is The Wicker Man from 1973. What is there to say about this movie? Just incredible performance by Christopher Lee, as always. Always plays just an incredible villain. This has got a very eerie atmosphere. It's got a very compelling mystery. You're not quite sure what's going on if you haven't seen it before. It's got unforgettable music. The music doesn't really ever leave you if you actually listen to what they're saying. It's got a very deep exploration of pagan rituals, and all culminates into a shocking an unforgettable climax at the end of the film, The Wicker Man, the original. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. The next movie on my list is, guess what? Another war-type movie. This is actually about a general. This is from 1970, and I'm talking about Patton. George C. Scott absolutely nails this role. This is a winner of seven Academy Awards, including Best Picture for 1970. Just an incredible portrayal of his life and his story. If you're not familiar with him, definitely check this movie out. They didn't win 7 Academy Awards for nothing, but it's just a gripping portrayal of a complex historical figure in General Patton. Just a fantastic movie. All right, the next movie on my list is The Amityville Horror. Now, this is another fantastic horror movie from the 70s. James Brolin as the dad in this, I think, just really knocked this performance out of the park. This has got a very chilling atmosphere. You get very tense storytelling. There's a groundbreaking use of psychological horror in this. And this is also inspired by true events, which just makes it more creepy. This captivates you with its eerie portrayal of the house and just the unraveling of the family's sanity in this. The Amityville Horror. Definitely check this out if you haven't seen it. With the next movie on my list is another movie I don't physically own. I've only seen this movie one time, but it did have another lasting impression on me, and that is from 1975, The One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Now, this is just maybe Jack Nicholson's best film. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but this is just an incredible movie. Of course, starring Jack Nicholson, Louis Fletcher, Danny DeVito, Christopher Lloyd. I mean, it's critically acclaimed for all just incredible performances from all of these actors and some of the other ones I haven't mentioned. But it's a very thought-provoking movie on mental health and individualism. There's a lot going on in this movie. The film is the second film of all time to win the 5 major Academy Awards. Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Screenplay. So you know it's a great film. I highly recommend it. Would love to see this come to 4K at some point. And I definitely need to rewatch it again, but it had to make my list. The next movie on my list is a sports movie. And if you know me, I love my hockey. This is, to me, the best hockey movie ever made. They still have yet to make one as good as this. This is from 1977. This is Slapshot starring Paul Newman. This movie is just over-the-top, raucous humor. It's pretty ridiculous. This is just known for its memorable characters. You have the Hanson brothers, which you'll never forget once you see this movie. Ogie Oglethorpe. Of course, you got Reggie Dunlop, which is Paul Newman's character, who's pretty memorable as well. But it's known for its just gritty portrayal of minor league hockey. And it's got a very authentic depiction of hockey's culture and camaraderie. And it's just a beloved film for hockey fans and sports fans in general. Again, if you're not into hockey or sports, this is the one movie I recommend you check out. You will have a fantastic and great time. You will be laughing, trust me. Slapshot, check it out. Next movie on my list here is a remake, actually. I haven't seen the original, so don't hate me, but this is from 1978, and that is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This stars Donald Sutherland. You got Jeff Goldblum. You got Leonard Nimoy in here. This movie kind of scared me. Very tense atmosphere, some really good storytelling, some really compelling performances, some pretty innovative cinematography, and it just makes for a very standout sci-fi horror flick that I think everyone should check out. And it's got an unforgettable ending. If you know, you know. But Invasion of the Body Snatchers, really great movie. I love revisiting this movie, so I had to make my list there. So the next movie on my list is another movie that I just recently picked up and recently watched for the first time, but I enjoyed it so much I had to include it on my list. This is from 1979. This is Walter Hill's The Warriors. Fantastic movie. Very gritty portrayal of gang culture. You have stylized direction by Walter Hill. You got memorable lines like,
Can you dig it?
and Warriors, come out and play, yay! I mean, how could you not? It's got an iconic soundtrack. It explores themes of loyalty, survival, pursuit of belonging in a hostile world, showing the 70s gangs in New York. But it is a cult classic and one I really wished I had watched earlier in life. But the next movie on my list is another one I hadn't seen until just recently when I picked up the Steelbook, and that is 1973's American Graffiti. This movie is absolutely fantastic. Takes place over one night in this central California town, basically showing the hot rod culture. It's about a bunch of high schoolers kind of like going off from high school into college, but it's directed by George Lucas. This is his second film after THX. And then you got this, this is produced by Francis Ford Coppola. It's got Ron Howard in it, Richard Dreyfuss, Harrison Ford, to name a few, all very, very young in this, as you can imagine, but it's just got fantastic music, awesome cars. You got Wolfman, the DJ in this, who is an actual DJ, that kind of plays a role in this movie, which is really cool. But yeah, this is one I'd highly recommend, and one I really dug from the very beginning. So American Graffiti had to make my list. All right, next movie on here is another horror movie, I guess you would call it. This is from 1976, Brian De Palma, and yes, Carrie. This movie is probably one of the earlier horror movies that I watched, and it freaked the absolute hell out of me. But yeah, this is just a chilling adaptation of Stephen King's novel. Again, just compelling performances, particularly by Sissy Spacek in this title. Well, I feel like she's very underrated. But this explores themes of, you know, adolescent angst, the abuse of power. It's got a memorable blend of horror and tragedy, making it just a groundbreaking horror movie that everyone should check out. So Carrie had to make my list. This movie on my list here is from 1973, and that is Enter the Dragon, starring Bruce Lee. This is a must-watch just for its groundbreaking martial arts action, Bruce Lee's charismatic performance, its influence on the action genre, and just its iconic status as one of the greatest martial arts films of all time. Unfortunately, 6 days before this was supposed to release in July 26, 1973, Bruce Lee passed away. But this is just an all-time great and one I would highly recommend to anyone. Next movie on my list is from 1974. This is a Mel Brooks film, and that is Blazing Saddles. Directed and starring Mel Brooks. You got Gene Wilder, Cleveland Little, just with some great performances. But it's a very bold satire. It's got a very unapologetic approach to sensitive topics. And a lot of that stuff kind of makes it a product of its time. But this is a really great movie. Blazing Saddles. Love to see this on 4K. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Movie on my list is another horror movie. This is considered one of the scariest movies of all times. This is just classic William Friedkin's 1973 The Exorcist. Very disturbing, realistic portrayal of demonic possession. Groundbreaking special effects for the time. Settling atmosphere. Exceptional performance by Linda Blair as Reagan. I mean, can you go wrong with that performance? And just this movie has a good ability to tap into primal fears about faith, the unknown, and the loss of control over one's own body, leaving a lasting impact on anyone who watches it. And I mean, it still has an impact today, 5 decades later. So The Exorcist, must watch for everyone. Next movie on my list is from 1971, and this stars Clint Eastwood, and I'm, of course, talking about Dirty Harry, one of the best 70s movies for its 70s gritty portrayal of urban crime. You got Clint Eastwood's just amazing performance as the tough, rule-defying Inspector Harry Callahan. This has a great influence on the action genre with its moral complexities and its memorable dialogue.
But Ian, this is a 44 Magnum, the most powerful handgun in the world, and would blow your head clean off. You've got to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
This is just a fantastic action movie. It's a very iconic role for Clint, and one I love revisiting. Be nice to see this get a 4K. The next movie on my list is another Martin Scorsese film. This is from 1976, a timeless classic starring Robert De Niro, and that is Taxi Driver. Known for its powerful and haunting portrayal of urban alienation and decay. Martin Scorsese kills the direction on this. Robert De Niro's mesmerizing performance as the troubled Travis Bickle. I mean, this explores themes such as loneliness, violence, obsession, its enduring influence on cinema, and it also just has influenced so many countless filmmakers. It's one everyone should watch. Very, very good. The next one on my list is a classic. I think this is probably on everyone's list at some point, or one of these movies are, but for me it's the original, and that's the 1976 Sylvester Stallone's Rocky. Of course, this has Sylvester Stallone. It's got the late, great Carl Weathers, rest in peace, as Apollo Creed. This is one of the most inspiring, best underdog stories of all time. You got Stallone's heartfelt performance and script. Just incredible characters, iconic training montage and music. It's got an amazing portrayal of resilience, determination, and the pursuit of the American dream, which resonates with just practically everyone. All-time classic, had to make my list, and into the top 10, Rocky. The next one on my list at number 9 is a childhood favorite of mine. One I saw many, many times. It's from 1971, and that is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, starring Gene Wilder. I think everyone has seen this at one time or another, but for me, saw this countless times as a kid. Always loved it. It's got very catchy musical numbers. You got Wilde's iconic portrayal as the eccentric Wonka. You got a visual feast of fantastical sets, inventive special effects and colors, and just a great movie with great moral lessons throughout. And I think that enchants a lot of audiences with its magic and mystery of the Wonka factory. So, yeah, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. My number 8 is another war movie, another one I feel doesn't get talked about at all, probably won't make anyone's list, but it's up high on my list at number 8. This is from 1970, and this is Tora, Tora, Tora. This is just an incredible film. Its meticulously detailed and historically accurate portrayal of the events leading up to and including the attack on Pearl Harbor makes this an absolute masterpiece. It's got a very balanced perspective from both the American and Japanese viewpoints. It's got very impressive special effects for its time, and its attempt to objectively analyze the diplomatic failures and misunderstandings that led to the outbreak of World War II in the Pacific.
眠れる巨人を起こし奮い立たせる結果を招いたも同然である。
This just makes a standout war film for anyone, for educational value, cinematic craftsmanship. This is just a must watch. At number 7, we have another war movie, and this is a masterpiece by Francis Ford Coppola. This is from 1979, and that is Apocalypse Now. Just incredible, amazing performances from Marlon Brando, Martin Sheen, but just an incredible cast overall with Harrison Ford, Lawrence Fishburne. You got Dennis Hopper, Robert Duvall as Colonel Kilgore, who has some of the best lines.
Charlie, don't surf! This LZ's still pretty hot, sir. Maybe you ought to surf somewhere else. What do you know about surfing, Major? You're from goddamn New Jersey. That's good, son, because you either surf or fight. That's clear. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. It smells like victory.
Freaking incredible movie. It's got stunning cinematography that captures the surreal and haunting beauty of Vietnam. Deep philosophical questions about morality, civilization, and the human psyche in general, all set to an unforgettable soundtrack that enhances this epic and hallucinatory journey into darkness. An absolute must-watch. All right, this next movie is complete opposite end of the spectrum from Apocalypse Now. And a movie I used to own on DVD again, but don't have the Blu-ray for. Another one we need a 4K of desperately. This is Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein from 1974. This is just an absolute masterpiece parody of classic horror films. It's got a very affectionate homage to the original Frankenstein story, but you get Mel Brooks' comedic genius on full display here. You got Gene Wilder's hilarious performances as Dr. Frankenstein, but Marty Feldman as Igor is still always been one of my favorite characters of all time. You have endless witty dialogue, timeless humor, and constant blend of slapstick and clever wordplay makes this a fun movie that doesn't age at all. Definitely check out Young Frankenstein. At number 5, this movie is just fantastic. One of my favorite Ridley Scott films of all time. One of the best sci-fi horror films of all time. Has obviously spawned a huge franchise of films and other adaptations. But this is from 1979. Of course, we're talking about the OG classic Alien. Strong female lead in Sigourney Weaver as Ripley. Even back in the day, they had strong female leads. Who could have thought that, huh? But yeah, Sigourney Weaver kills it as Ripley. This is, again, just a great sci-fi horror movie. It's got a very claustrophobic atmosphere, groundbreaking visual effects, the chilling creature design, suspenseful storytelling, the iconic chest-bursting scenes. I don't think anyone will ever forget. This makes it a timeless classic and one I always love throwing in. Alien. At number 4, another masterpiece from Francis Ford Coppola. This time a mafia/mob movie, and that, of course, is 1972's The Godfather. This is just incredible. My favorite mob movie of all time. Probably because this is one of the only and first mob movies I could ever watch as a kid, because the other ones were just too violent, too much language. But this one, even though it is rated R and does have some violence in it, it is nowhere near the grittiness as some of the other films. But the storytelling, the characters, the way this just evolves is just an incredible movie. Great storytelling and direction by Coppola. You got the compelling performances by the stellar cast, of course, Marlon Brando, Al Pacino, among many others. It's got rich character development. It explores themes of power, family, loyalty, and it's just got iconic dialogue, memorable scenes. Don't think anyone ever forgets. It's just a lasting impact on cinema, influencing countless filmmakers and becoming a cultural touchstone that transcends generations. Of course, there's sequels to this that I know a lot of people like, but for me, nothing beats the original, The Godfather. I know some people think it's boring. I think it's a masterpiece. Godfather had to make my number 4 there. At number 3, we got a masterpiece from Steven Spielberg. Definitely the best shark movie of all time. 1975. We got Jaws, of course, adapted from Peter Benchley's novel, which is a great book if you haven't read it. Just best movies of all time for sure. Groundbreaking use of suspense, tension. Steven Spielberg, just a master director here. You, of course, have the unforgettable music by John Williams. Memorable performances from Roy Schneider as the police chief, Martin Brody. You got Richard Dreyfuss as Matt Hooper, the oceanographer with a fascination for sharks. But, of course, the best character for me, hands down, is Robert Shaw as Quint, the grizzled seasoned shark hunter. He has some of the best scenes in this entire film, from his introduction to his historic USS Indianapolis monologue, which is pure perfection and an actual true story. The shark cage scene, his final battle with the shark, which is at the end of the film. This movie's ability to tap into primal fears of the unknown and nature's power just has made it a cult classic. I know my mom saw this in theaters when it came out. I know anyone who saw it back in the day, they did not get in the water for weeks, months, even years after this. This movie still haunts people to this day, scares people. I love it. It's got innovative special effects that kind of set a new standard for blockbuster filmmaking. And this just solidifies it as a timeless classic that you can always go back to. So Jaws. Number 2 is from 1977, of course, George Lucas, the original. Star Wars: A New Hope, Episode 4. I've seen this so many freaking times. This movie spawned a multi-billion-dollar enterprise. There's been so many prequels, sequels, sideshows, cartoons, toys, merchandise, you name it. This is just one of the most iconic movies ever made. It's just got just groundbreaking visual effects, imaginative world building, George Lucas's just incredible storytelling, iconic characters, you know, Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, you know, Darth Vader, R2-D2, C-3PO. It's just got timeless themes of heroism, redemption, the battle between good and evil. You have John Williams' legendary score again, kind of bringing it all together. It's got a very cultural impact and has just resonated with audiences worldwide for generations, just solidifying this as one of the best movies ever freaking made. And remember, this is my list, so it's going to be different than yours. I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with my number one. No one is going to agree with me on this, but this is, to me, still the funniest movie ever made, and it never gets old for me. I've probably seen this movie over 200 times. From when I was a kid to now. I just can't get enough of it, and that is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. This needs a 4K so freaking bad. I don't know why we got Life of Brian before we got this, but this needs a 4K. This is just so freaking funny, over the top, surreal, just absurd humor. It's got memorable sketches and characters.
Now stand aside, worthy adversary.
'Tis but a scratch.
A scratch? Your arm's off.
No, it isn't.
Well, what's that then?
I've heard worse.
You liar.
Come on, you pansy.
Very clever wordplay. Its ability to satirize and subvert traditional storytelling tropes just creates a unique and endless quotable comedy experience that has entertained me and audiences for decades, and remains just a cult classic in the world of comedy. This is just so quotable. There's so many funny lines in this. It just never gets old. It's a masterpiece of comedy that I feel is highly underrated, underappreciated. I had to have it as my number one. I don't think it's going to make many people's list, but I wanted it at my number one so that it gets its fair credit and due. But Monty Python and the Holy Grail, is just comedic gold, an all-time classic. One you can watch with your kids and just have an absolute blast with, and one you can enjoy with your buddies having some drinks. I mean, again, this is solely based on nostalgia and just how many times I watched this movie. But yeah, absolutely love. Yeah, that is my top 25. Please let me know what your list is down below, or participate in Tim's challenge. This was a lot of fun. And I always enjoy these community challenges that he puts out and other people put out as well. But yeah, thanks, Tim, for putting this on. I hope everyone enjoyed this. Please absolutely ridicule me down in the comments for my choices, or if you agree with any of my choices. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope everyone has a great day, and we will see you all in the next one.